Okay, well, we are back at it again. Ryan, Peyton, John Nelson, another edition of North South. We catch up a little bit before we come on and do this. Or we start. Okay. No. Wait.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sometimes you just have another person, all right? Because we go up and down, left, right, and all that type of stuff. Yeah. Just be careful what finger you use.
I'd still mess it up. It's like, okay, wait a second. You're there.
Who?
Okay.
Left? So how about this? You're there, I'm here.
Exactly.
And off we go.
Yes.
So we talk a little bit beforehand. We catch up a tiny bit, and John's going to be traveling again as he busy man. But I was saying, he said, okay, so let's just let's turn it on, let's go forward, and let's rock it out. And I said, okay, we're going to begin with your favorite thing, the pitch clock in Major League Baseball. Can I just say this to you? Okay, let me just try to. First of all, you don't like it, I know that. So let me just try to convert you over.
You're not to this. Go ahead.
Thing. Okay. So through the opening weekend of the season, okay, so what's today? Today is Wednesday. So a couple of days ago, opening weekend is done. The average game time was 2 hours and 38 minutes, which was a 30-minute drop from last year's first 4 days of the Major League Baseball season.
Don't care.
Pitchers seem to like it. Manny Machado didn't like it the other day when he didn't get in the batter's box with 8 seconds to go. And he looked and said, hold on, wait, I'm adjusting my. Do you remember, speaking of adjusting, do you remember Nomar Garciaparra?
Nomar?
Do you remember what left, pump, it just drove me crazy. Anyway, why don't you like the pitch clock?
Why should you confine thought to a time frame? Why should you confine time and strategy? Why should you confine strategy and thought to a time frame? Ever since you and I have started watching the game.
Yeah.
And this goes back to, you and I were there with Doubleday when he came up with the idea. Or at least I was. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
I mean.
I wasn't far behind.
No, but you look at the rules that we've always had. It's always about the strategy. It's always about spending an afternoon and letting the afternoon lazily go by. And, if there's a TV, if there's a commercial break, fine. It gives you time to go to the snack bar and do whatever and go to the concession stand.
Yeah.
Now, you've decided that, okay, we want the international softball tiebreaker to decide things in extra innings.
Mm-hmm.
No. You can't do a shift anymore. So once again, you take strategy out of play and understanding all of the groundwork that you do in all of your scouting.
Okay.
Basically, you're putting guys out of work in scouting departments. It's like, well, we don't need to, we don't have to worry about doing the damn shifting anymore. So we'll just take that and throw it away. Mm-hmm. It's all counterintuitive to what we grew up with in the game for the sake of trying to make it more watchable for younger generations because of attention spans. The whole notion of baseball was to spend a lazy afternoon watching a baseball game, enjoying the experience, not make it sound like you're going to watch a movie like by the time that Top Gun Maverick is over and then the baseball game is over.
But these details, I think they're pretty small. Okay, the shift is I didn't like the shift anyway. I remember when Barry Bonds was playing, basically the shift was on the opposite side of the fence because that's where he usually hit the ball.
It's over there.
But the shift was to his right side because he always pulled the ball for the most part. I don't mind the shift not being there. And what I read to the other day, and this is interesting, and this is expected, Commissioner Rob Manfred, who I have my own thoughts.
That's another discussion.
You see, I just was going to say I have my own thoughts on him. And we both have our thoughts on him. Anyway, he is the commissioner, whether we like it or not, John.
Yeah.
So Rob Manfred, open to discussion, open to feedback, okay, from not just pitchers.
Feedback. Why don't you go use LinkedIn?
Right.
There's your feedback.
So the feedback to this notion of the pitch clock being put in and cutting down the time it takes to play a Major League Baseball game. What the pitchers are saying is add 2 to 3 more seconds. So get that to change the time between 15 seconds without runners to 17 seconds. And that could, though, roughly add 15 to 20 minutes a game, which would push the 238 that we had in the first weekend up to about 3.
Don't care.
So what baseball's trying to do, and you know this, for the last number of years, a lot of eyes have not been on Major League Baseball.
It's their own fault.
And that and the length of the game is probably the biggest reason why. So they want more eyes, which helps them down the road, helps them at the present time. I think there's nothing wrong with this. I think it's fine.
I think all of it is flawed. I think all of it is a flawed premise. It's a bad idea. And you're trying to find ways to sit there and make yourself more attractive. It's like, all right, so you're in your subdivision. They're in Office HD. I'm in my subdivision here.
Right.
All right, so here in my subdivision, here in the South, there is a recent idea among homeowners who have older homes. And I mean, these are homes that were built like in the 1970s and such. Right. And they're, single level and, they go this way. They don't go up. They go out. You have a lot of homeowners in our subdivision who are selling their homes and making out like bandits. And then you have the new developer come in and create this $800,000 eyesore because they look at the geography and go, hey, look, this is a great part of town. Everybody wants to live here. Let's tell you what, we're going to tear down that old house. We're going to make a new house. We're going to make it ugly as hell, and someone's still going to buy it. That's what you're getting at right now with Major League Baseball. They're sitting there and they're staring at that old house in the subdivision and going, okay, people like to come into our subdivision. They like to live where we're currently in. How do we make it more attractive for folks to come and live in our part of town? Hey, tell you what, let's take that 50-year-old house, buy it from the owner who wants to move on, and tear the house down, build a McMansion for like $300,000 or $400,000 more, paint it a really bad brown and black combination color, know that some sucker's going to come in and buy it.
There always is.
And what you've done is you sat there and you said, hey, I'm drawing folks to my subdivision by building a new home. Doesn't matter what it looks like. Doesn't matter what the color is. That's what you're getting with Major League Baseball. They're sitting there and they're looking at this. They live in this fantastic part of town.
Okay.
But then they want to sit there and say, hey, wait a minute. I don't like how that house looks. So I'm going to tear that part. I'm going to tear that part of the subdivision down, build a really ugly new home, and hope that someone's going to drop the $800,000 instead of the $450,000 and live in that new home.
Quick answer: yes or no. Is this harming the game? Yes or no?
I don't think it's doing harming.
Yes or no?
What's your definition of harming?
Based on what you've been saying for the last 5, 6, 7 minutes, how much you can't stand it and you don't like it. It's gone away from the traditional. It has gone away. Every sport, I'm not saying every sport has these things, but sports does change. It does change. Let me throw this one at you then. Staying in the same idea, let's shift to the ice.
Sure.
And talk hockey.
Yeah.
Evgeny Kuznetsov is one of the quickest players in the game, but he's one of the slowest when it comes to the shootout. So the other night, I don't know if you saw this, but he was going in, and he went up to center ice to pick up the puck at the shootout. Yep. Very slowly.
He's at 16 RPMs.
Yeah, and the commentator said, oh, this one's not going to be quick. And so he takes the puck, puts it in front of him, and then he not shoots it, but he gets it past him across the blue line. Then he adjusts his gloves and his sleeves, and then he goes in, makes about 15, 20, 25 different moves, and then he scores.
Okay.
Wayne Gretzky came on. Hold on. Wayne Gretzky came on and said that is ridiculous. It's embarrassing for the goaltenders. It's embarrassing for the game. He said that if that happened in his day and age, 20 guys would be off the bench. They'd be off the bench on Kuznetsov.
Semenko would be first, I'm sure.
Exactly. So he suggested, and look, when 99 speaks, they listen.
Yeah.
He suggested putting in a shot clock. 8, 9, 10 seconds you have from center ice to the goaltender to get the shot off. I think what Kuznetsov does, I'm fine with all the skill. I get it. And I know that a lot of times you come in full tilt. The goalie is, I think, able to read it a bit more than you come in slow and you make a whole bunch of moves. He doesn't know where he's going. So I understand that. It's to your advantage. The shootout is to the advantage of the shooter. It's not to the advantage of the goaltender.
Mhm.
But I will say this, you've got the fastest paced game in the world, and then you shut it down like that. I would not be opposed, and I'd be in favor of putting in a shot clock.
You're also dealing in a confined space, and the thing about hockey, and I get where Gretz is coming from in this. I did not send you that email.
No, someone agreed. Shot clock, yes. Carry on.
The way that I look at it in baseball is that the amount of real estate that you're having to deal with in baseball is far more impacted by what's going on than the 200 by 85 that you're dealing with, and it's really not even that. It's 100 by 85 by the time you get to the shootout.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, honestly, think about a 20-second, say 17 or 20 seconds or 35 seconds. For me, I don't even think you get that high. I don't think a shot clock impacts the game that much. I think that probably Gretz is driven crazy by the notion that I know I'm incredibly quick. If I go the other way, then what I'm doing is what you're trying to do is you're trying to find a way to one-up
yes,
the goalie in a shootout.
Right.
So what do
Of
you do? Kuznetsov is using strategy. He's using strategy, Ryan. Strategy.
It's the strategic and whatever.
He's using strategy. He's employing strategy, and this goes back to baseball too. But I'll finish my hockey point.
Mm-hmm.
So Kuznetsov uses strategy by going 180 degrees from who he is to try and impact a game in a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
In baseball, what they're doing is they're taking the strategy away from the implementation of the game, and you're now seeing games quicker and whatever. You're now the length of a movie.
Right.
I think that strategy in different sports can go different ways. I don't mind Kuznetsov slowing it down to 16 RPMs to try to sit there and figure out what to do in a hockey shootout. What I do mind is when you sit there and make all these different rule changes like we're seeing in baseball to try bigger bases. What the hell is that?
Yeah, I'm with you with that one. No, when I saw that and read that,
what you're doing is you're trying to promote offense by having larger bases. You're trying to promote, I don't know what, by making sure that you're taking away any kind of a shift defensively, but you're taking away defensive strategy. So once again, you're trying to promote offense in this way. And by forcing pitchers to have to release a ball within 17 seconds or so, once again, you're trying to promote offense and make something shorter when you may end up making games longer because you have more offense in play because of all of these different ideas that you're trying to do until you get to the 10th inning. Then you employ the international softball tiebreaker rule in trying to get something over. So you're trying to, in the first 9 innings of a baseball game now, you're trying to promote all of these different things to promote offense. But then you get to the 10th inning, we got to go home. We're going to be late for our flight. We're going to be late, all of these different things. And then you get to the 10th inning and then you're like, we got to get this over with. Don't be gone too far. We'll go softball. I mean, it's just, I don't mind strategy, but what you're doing in baseball is you're slanting things toward offenses. In hockey, if Gretz got his way, and I'm sure he will probably in the next couple of seasons, that they probably will get a shot clock in there, probably 30 seconds as a starter. Then what you're doing is I think what you're doing in that aspect is you're helping defense. By forcing the offensive player to make a decision within a time frame, you're trying to rush his thought. I think in baseball, you're trying to promote offense with these changes. If Gretz got his way, he would help defense with those changes, instead of letting the game be as organic as we grew up with on both counts.
Yeah, no, it's intriguing. It is. I'm looking forward to the postseason because there's no shootouts. Just
let
keep
them
on
play
playing.
forever.
Play 60 and then play another 20, another 20, another 20 if you need to. So there's no shootouts, nothing at all. I still, though, would like not a 5-on-5 in overtime in the postseason. I'd be fine with a 4-on-4. I know playoff hockey is exciting. A 3-on-3 would be too little.
Yeah.
But a 4-on-4, I would like to see a 4-on-4 hockey in OT in the postseason. I don't think, I'm not going to say I don't think. I know games would not go as long as, say, a 5-on-5 overtime game. It may change, but I'd be fine with that 4-on-4. Speaking of, playoff pitcher, I know. you're all about the tradition, right? You're all about the keep it simple, don't mess with the rules, no need to adapt, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Pretty
and
much.
to your point with the pitch clock and all that stuff, baseball's been around forever. Baseball's been a long game. Baseball is a long game. The other night it wasn't. Sandy Alcantara, it was 1 hour, 52 minutes, something like that, which was incredible. So nope, pitch clock, yep, no shift, all that stuff, but that was a dominating performance. But at the end of the day, you're trying to adjust, I guess, to the masses.
Well, but at the same time, remember when you had a master strategist on the mound in Greg Maddux?
Yes.
And Maddux, because of how skilled he was as a pitcher, could make sure that he knew where the edges of the plate were. He knew how to paint the corners. He knew how to get that things done.
He was an artist.
Yeah,
and
when you have individuals like that who don't need pitch clocks, who don't need shifts, who don't need international softball tiebreakers to help things out when you get to a 10th inning, there's a game that always sticks in my head when it comes to Greg Maddux. It was a game that was, I want to say it was 72 pitches against the Chicago Cubs, and the game went like an hour and 38 minutes because of what Greg Maddux did, not because of any rule that aided Greg Maddux. That, when you have something like Alcantara, if you'd probably wonder what the time would be if you didn't have the current constraints. But if Alcantara has a game like that where he's pitching out of his mind, Greg Maddux, an artist, an hour and 38 minutes on his own without any kind of rule change.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and it was 1997, July 22nd, 78 pitches. 78 pitches. Threw strikes 83% of the time, went to a 2-ball count twice. I mean, you want to talk about complete domination, right? That to me, you can throw as fast as you want in Major League Baseball. There's guys that throw 100, 104, 105, whatever it is. Yeah, that's sexy. I understand. But pitching is an art. And those the Atlanta Braves, you mentioned Maddux. I'm glad you did, because remember Tom Glavine, Steve Avery, Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, one of the best rotations in baseball and baseball history. And none of those guys, even back then, they're not throwing 98, 99, 100 every pitch. What they're doing is they are painting the corners. They're creating art. And you don't have to throw a ball a million miles an hour to make it work. So anyway, we'll see.
You don't need rule changes either.
I know you don't. Hey, any interest in the Masters and the PGA players, making amends and some strained relationships with the Live Golf?
I don't think that they're. Let's put it this way. It's probably going to be a Monday finish because the weather down here is the weather. The weather that's coming here is the weather that you're currently experiencing right now.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, it's terrible.
So what you're experiencing now as we're talking is what we're going to be getting over the weekend. Don't be surprised if it's a Monday finish. First time in probably 40 years, I think it would be a Monday finish. Augusta National as an entity is going to do what Augusta National damn well wants. When you go and cover the tournament, and I covered 6 of them, first off, you go to the gift shop, you are going to put a dent in your bank account. Your credit card is going to come out smoking.
Yes.
But you will have taken care of every person on your Christmas list without hesitation, and they will love you for it. Right. Literally, every year I would go, I'm dropping $300-400 like that and getting gifts and everything. Augusta National is going to do whatever they damn well want whenever they do it. When you go, it literally is like stepping back into the 1950s and 60s. It is yes or no, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Thank you. That is just how it is. Literally, you go through the tree line and you're transported back, 60 years in time because of how the presentation is there.
Right.
Augusta National, I mean, it's more what the PGA Tour is going to sit there, and the PGA Tour and all of the other tours that are naturally attracted and in the same orbit as Augusta National. When the Masters Week comes up, all these other tours, despite what they may feel about LIV, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, thank you.
No, I know. Yeah.
That is exactly what it's going to be this entire week. And whatever Augusta National wants to do and whomever they want to invite, they are going to invite.
They're in control.
And it is the, and what, because what's the PGA Tour, what's the U.S. Golf Association going to sit there and tell Augusta National, you can't do that? And Augusta National will be like, okay, fine.
Yeah, whatever.
Be a part of your tour anymore. We don't care. We'll do our own thing.
Not that this is anything and means anything, but it is part of the whole story about Liv in the PGA and playing at Augusta, playing at the Masters. Back in 2020, some of the featured guys in, the first groups, right? The first groups off, those are the featured ones on Thursday and Friday specifically. Some of the ones that were featured in 2020, Bryson DeChambeau, Louis Oosthuizen, Bubba Watson, Brooks Koepka, Lee Westwood, Henrik Stenson. In 21, Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Phil Mickelson, Patrick Reed. In 2022, I'm just going to throw Oosthuizen, Brooks Koepka. Nobody from the Live Tour is featured in round one. Some of the featured groups on Thursday: Tiger, Victor Hovland, Xander Schauffele, JT going at it with John Rahm, Cameron Young, Scotty Scheffler, Max Homa, Sam Bennett. So to your point, Augusta and the Masters is saying, well, we're in charge here, and this is what we're going to do. That to me is saying that, yes, there's some great golfers on the Live Tour. There is. Say what you want about the tour, but there's some really good golfers on that tour. But that's the Masters saying to me, that's fine. We still support the PGA before you, and we're the Masters and we're Augusta. To your point, we're doing what we want to do.
Yeah, and there's an article for those that subscribe to The Athletic. So requested reading would be Jeff Schultz's column about the tournament in Augusta, and he caught up with folks that are attached to 9/11 groups and the whole notion of sports washing, which is what they're doing. This literally is what LIV is doing, and there's a concern from 9/11 families about what Augusta National is or isn't doing when it comes to showing support and all these kinds of things for this particular tournament. Just to give you an idea, the head of one of the 9/11 groups, 9/11 Families United, Terry Strada, lost her husband on 9/11. The other head is Matthew Bochy, who lost his father as well. Tom Strada, John Bochy, killed once again when the terrorists flew the planes into the Twin Towers at the World Trade Center. Terry Strada, Matthew Bochy spoke at an Atlanta media session ahead of the Masters. Terry Strada had a conversation. She first sends a letter to Augusta National Chair Fred Ridley asking for a meeting. Strada and Ridley spoke briefly by phone, and Strada said it was a respectful conversation. He wanted me to understand his side as a person making those decisions. I didn't agree with him, but he was entitled to his opinion. Ridley, and this is Jeff Schultz, he says, Ridley no doubt hopes and likely is correct that once tournament play begins Thursday, the competition will dominate the news cycle. The controversy surrounding LIV golfers fades into the background. This is how it works. Sometimes we become numb to how wrong something is because, well, look at that chip on 16. And so Strada and Ridley agreed to keep their conversation private. She got to get her point across on how 9/11 families feel, what it does to their fight for justice to give the Saudis a platform to try to sports wash their guilt and their participation in murdering thousands of Americans. So that was her conversation that she had with Jeff Schultz about it. And wow, it is a delicate dance for Augusta National. And you have all of these different chainsaws in the air if you're Fred Ridley, the chairman of the golf club. And you're trying not to deny having the most talented players in your sport challenging for one of the most hallowed trophies in your sport. And then how do you sit there and navigate that whole idea of LIV and Saudi Arabia and sports washing?
I know.
And all of these different things are in play. Will I watch it? Probably. Will I watch it on Sunday? Absolutely, because it's Easter
for sure.
Sunday. Well, actually, I should say I'll listen to it Monday when I'm driving home, or we'll be home. When you and I get back on Monday. And so, it's a delicate dance for Augusta National, but at the end of the day, Augusta National is going to do what they think is best for business.
Yeah, they are. Tiger's there. Rory's there. Tiger looks good, but I certainly don't think that he's going to be there on Sunday or Monday. Would be great if he is at some point, but we'll see. Soccer, more close to your home and heart. So we all know what Cristiano Ronaldo signed that
baby. Yep.
massive deal with Al Nasser in the kingdom. So according to a certain transfer market expert in the Saudi Gazette, they reported that Lionel Messi has received that huge offer, John, of $438 million
to go across town to the rival.
Right. So are you surprised? First of all, Messi says, and I think this is the right thing to do. He says, quote, "It's my absolute priority to carry on playing in Europe, not join Ronaldo." I think he's got he's going to be free agent June 30th. I think he's under contract with Paris Saint-Germain.
Right.
2-year deal when he switched from FC Barcelona in 2021 expires. So he's going to be a free agent on June 30th. Are you surprised that this is out there? Because I am, and look, I don't follow soccer like you do.
Yeah.
But I know what's going on, not as in depth like you. But I'm absolutely not surprised about this whatsoever.
Well, and think about it once again. We've talked about during this show what's best for business.
Right.
Lionel Messi is an ambassador for Visit Saudi Arabia. As a part of the Saudi 2030 project, they are trying to court the World Championship that was in a neighboring nation that was held between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I'm not going to announce the nation or the tournament and give it the time of day, the recognition that it deserves. But at the end of the day, Lionel Messi is an ambassador to that country for this idea of them hosting the 2030 World Cup after the United States, Canada, and Mexico do in 2026. So when you're already an ambassador for something, and they want to come after you at 430 million euro a year at the age of then 36 when your season starts. I mean, it's all going to come down to his dad, who's the agent. Now that we're at 3-minute warning, once again here, using CFL rules as we always.
There we go, 3 downs.
So I think that, I mean, and there's talk about him coming to Major League Soccer and being a part of things at Inter Miami, but then you would have to probably reorganize your entire salary structure. You'd probably have to do something akin to the David Beckham rule where you give him equity in a franchise or something like that. And the Moss brothers would certainly do that with Inter Miami. Because then you'd have David Beckham and Lionel Messi.
Oh, lovely.
Pieces of the same franchise. You know, we need Nick Alifi from soccer over there to give you that voice. But I think at the end of the day, what's best for business for the Saudis and their 2030 project is to have Lionel Messi in their country for the crosstown rival for what you're seeing with CR38. So Al Nasser and Al Hilal would be going at each other with two of the greatest players of this generation. Would not be a surprise at all.
No. The Air documentary or movie or film starring Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. It's that Nike pursuit.
How about those rugs, man?
Oh, yeah. Nike pursuit of Michael Jordan. I remember I watched the one of the Jordan documentaries, one of the hundreds of them that have been done since he's been born.
Right.
And how, Nike was after him, Reebok was after him, and he was really close to signing with Reebok. And then I think his mom went down with him to wherever Nike was. The headquarters, I assume, were in the same place.
Portland, Oregon.
But she went down, and she basically said to him, no. You're not. And he was almost a pen in hand that he was going to sign on the dotted line with Reebok. And then he ended up with Nike. Any interest in seeing this? Because I'm curious. It's just $1 billion industry, and Michael has made so much money. Nike's made so much money off of Michael. So it's intriguing for me, the whole story of how it started.
I would be more interested if it was more in documentary form,
right?
Instead of the docudrama, which I'm guessing is what Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are trying to do here. Movie for me, not so much. Docudrama, documentary, that kind of a thing, docuseries, that I would be interested in. This, I don't know what the reception will be publicly for it, but it will be interesting to see how many people do flock to it and how close it actually is to what happened. That is it's always my concern with movies.
No, that's true.
On a true story versus the true story are always two separate things. Folks need to remember that.
Yeah, I mentioned Reebok, Converse, and Adidas. So those were 1, 2 at the time, not Reebok, and then Nike was 3. So, well, Good on you. They found Michael. Michael found them, and the rest, as they say, is history. I'm with you, though. If it was a documentary, much better, more intrigued for me. At a time. This has been fun. Safe travels, my friend, and we will do this again next week for another edition of North South. Until then.